welcome to another indoor edition of the Fearless Home Gardening channel. I promise once the weather breaks, we will get outside. Today is part 2 of the 2-part series of what we're going to be growing together in the garden this year. Don't forget, we have a big announcement and a winner to announce at the end of this episode. Here we go. Okay, welcome to part 2. Part 1 was about all of the vegetables that we're going to be growing together in the garden this year. And this episode is going to be about the herbs and the flowers that we're going to be growing. And don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video when we announce the big winner and I make my big announcement. Can you guess what it is? I wonder what it could be. This is so exciting. This is kind of a big deal. Make sure you guys check out the description box below. There's going to be a lot of really useful information there, like links to the seed companies that I use and highly recommend. All of the information in this video will be timestamped, so if you want to just click ahead to the next bit of information, you can go ahead and do that there as well. Flowers can be incredibly beneficial to have in the garden. Not only do they bring in the beneficial bugs like ladybugs, bees, butterflies, hummingbirds. Flowers are just beautiful. Come on, they are. Flowers are beautiful to have in the garden. They're beautiful to cut and bring into the house. They just bring this magic and whimsy into everything, and they smell amazing. A lot of the flowers and herbs that we have here are used in aromatherapy, like things like lavender, chamomile. Flowers are just an incredible thing to grow in your garden with your vegetables. They're great companion plants. That's my push for growing flowers. Let's just go ahead and talk about what I'm going to actually grow in the garden with you this year. So let's start with marigolds. Marigolds are amazing. Now these marigolds, okay, I'll get those in a minute. Try that again. So Roger's mom gave me some of the marigolds from her garden that her mom used to grow. I've gone ahead and saved the seeds for them. From one tiny little seed like this, you can grow an entire plant this big. Now, every one of those flower heads on that plant there has a ton of seeds, like in this flower head here. So the exponential growth, and this is not just marigolds, this is a lot of flowers. Let's just look at these sunflower heads, right? So with these sunflower heads, I have all of these seeds here. Now they're edible, they're great for birds, so the birds will come in and they'll eat the sunflower seeds. That's totally fine because the birds will also eat the pests and the worms that are in your garden. You know, birds are good to have because they'll come, it's just a natural pesticide. They'll help keep the pests away. Not really a pesticide, but you know what I mean. But yeah, back to the seed growth thing. Basically, like one of these little seeds here is gonna grow a huge sunflower. And each one of those sunflowers produces multiple heads. Each one of those heads produces multiple seeds. So in a year or two, I could have an entire sunflower field, essentially, if I wanted to plant every single one of these flower seeds. Now, a lot of times I'll just bring them inside, I'll use them for decoration, or I'll let them go to the birds or those freaking squirrels. Try this again. I have seen the squirrels literally take the heads off of the sunflowers and run across the fence top with them in their mouth, like, haha, we got it. Like, I have multiple sunflower heads that I have saved the seeds of myself. And then I also just have some extra sunflower seeds here. These are the Lemon Queen sunflowers. And this is just a mixed sunflower blend that I got from one of Sarah's school fundraisers that she was doing last year or the year before, something like that. What else do we have here? Zinnias. Zinnias are an incredible flower to have in the garden. They're beautiful, they're super bright colors. They're not edible, but they're super easy to save the seed from. So like I use this as a decoration on my desk, like all of these dried flower heads and all of this. Like this is chamomile, I'll go into this in a second. Chamomile, the zinnia heads, the marigold heads, like I use all these dried flowers as decoration in my house until I'm ready to go ahead and use the seeds the next summer. So they're really multi-purposed in so many different ways. Bees absolutely love them. And they're a really great kind of a cut and come again flower. So the more you cut the flower heads off and you know, bring them in to sort of use them as decoration, whatever, the more they come back and the more they grow. That's my spiel on zinnias. Next, we have cosmos. These are one of my favorite flowers to grow in the garden. I basically just consider these bee hotels. It's the cutest thing. When I go out first thing in the morning, there's bees asleep in all of the Cosmo flowers. As the sun starts to go down at the end of the day, you'll see them start to like settle in on all the flowers. And when you wake up first thing in the morning, they're still sleeping there. It really is just so cute. Cosmos are also self-seeding, which means that when the flower head dies and drops to the ground, a new plant starts to grow. They're literally that easy to grow. And then the last two seeds that we have, or the last two types of flowers rather that we have, I have from seeds. So I have the Iceland poppy and the red California poppy. I just thought they'd add some nice extra color to the gardens this year. And also the straw flowers. Straw flowers I love. They're just absolutely beautiful. They look like dried flowers when they're still alive. They make for beautiful dried arrangements. When you bring them inside, you don't have to worry about them dying because they look exactly the same. I mean, this is what they look like after being in the house without any water for a year now. So I'm really excited to start these this year. They actually got ruined in the greenhouse debacle. I don't know if I've explained the greenhouse debacle or not yet, but for those of you who don't know, last year was our first year with a greenhouse. It wasn't secured properly. We had a giant storm and everything got knocked over in the greenhouse. It was really upsetting. A lot of my flowers got destroyed. The sesame, like I said, didn't get to grow. The straw flowers didn't make it. I did get this one plant that you see that I was able to successfully grow of the straw flowers, and I'm really excited to try to grow them again this year. On to some of the perennials that I obviously don't have on the table here with me because they are perennial and they're already in the ground. For example, lilies. These lilies came with the apartment. I did actually split these this year. They were getting to be a little bit overgrown and they were kind of hindering the growth and they were dying underneath. So at the end of the fall this year, I did split up the lilies. I put some along the driveway. I kind of spread them out a little bit around the yard. So we'll have a lot more of these growing in the spring. On to comfrey. Comfrey is a beautiful perennial plant with giant leaves that really help to shade out the weeds underneath. It's not edible, but it can be used medicinally topically. It has a tissue regenerative quality to it. However, the leaves are a little spiky, so if you have really sensitive skin, I wouldn't recommend something like that, and I would probably recommend just putting gloves on when you handle it. Comfrey roots are impossible to get rid of, so when you plant it, make sure you're planting it where you're going to want to keep it, because even if you leave the tiniest little bit of root, it's going to start a whole new plant in the spring, which is great if you want to spread your comfrey around, but if you're just looking for one small little bush, make sure you plant it where you want it to stay. Comfrey leaves are also really high in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which are the three numbers that you see on fertilizer bags. That's why comfrey is often called the gardener's best friend. You can take the leaves and grind them up, soak them in water, make a comfrey tea, and it creates an incredible natural fertilizer. I will go into exactly how to make that in a future video when we have comfrey growing in the yard. Okay, I'm rambling again. So anyway, let's go on to the next flower. Borage is actually a cousin of comfrey. Now, where comfrey is not edible, borage is. It can be used in salads, it can be used as a garnish. It's not a perennial, but it does self-seed. Next is nasturtiums. Nasturtiums I've never grown before. I'm super excited to grow them this year. They're edible flowers and they're really, really beneficial in the garden. Not only do they help to add nitrogen to the soil, but they, again, also bring in the beneficial bugs and insects. And actually, nasturtiums are really easy to grow from what I understand. They even grow better in poor soil. On to flowering herbs. Chives are great. They can be used in salads. They can be used in all different kinds of recipes. They can be dried. The flowers themselves are beautiful. They're one of the first flowers to come up in the spring, and they totally just remind me of the Truffula trees from the Lorax movies. If you haven't, do yourself a favor, watch the Lorax movie. You won't be sorry. Back to this. The chives, they look really pretty when they're dried. They can also be used, like I said, in culinary things. Even the purple flower heads can be used in culinary dishes, so it just adds a little bit of that extra pop and just creativity to some of your culinary dishes. Chamomile is an awesome flowering herb to grow. It's beautiful. They create these tiny little like daisy-like flowers. They have this apple scent to them. I have them here, like in this jar here. They can be used as decoration through the winter, like I use them. When they're not being used as decoration, we actually use them in tea. So you can just go ahead and dry the heads either in the sun or in a dehydrator and then use them for tea in the winter time, which is another great way to continue to use your harvest in the winter. Lavender. Lavender, I'm going to be truthful with you. is not the easiest herb to start from seed. It can obviously be done. There are lavender farms. There are people who grow lavender all over the place. I have not had a whole lot of success starting lavender from seed. So this is another one of those plants that I am more than happy to go to the farmer's market, give that money to the farmer, and bring home a beautiful lavender plant. No stressing out over the seeds or anything like that. I'll go over into how to transplant lavender into your garden in future videos. For right now, just know that this is an absolutely fantastic flower to have in your garden. Not only is it gorgeous, but if you just run past and run your hand through it, you can smell the lavender. There are so many uses for lavender. There are culinary uses, there are medicinal uses. You can make lavender iced tea, lavender lemonade. I've made lavender cookies before. I definitely recommend growing lavender in your garden. And then last on this list is basil. Basil is an herb I use in the kitchen all the time. Basil is another one that needs to be pruned regularly in order to encourage growth. Most of the basil that I grow, I will prune throughout the season so that I can get, a continued harvest, and I can bring some into the house and I can use it for dishes and I can store it and I can dry it. And then some of the plants I just let go to flower. I usually let 2 or 3 basil plants just go ahead and go straight to flower because, again, the pollinators and the bees love it. Okay, now let's talk about the herbs we're gonna grow in the garden. So again, some of these are perennial, some of them aren't. I will be going over everything with you. Herbs can take a very long time to germinate, just so you're aware. That does not mean, and that should not in any way discourage you from starting herbs from seed. I just have a lot of plants that I start, and I would rather use my seed cells for things like more vegetables. Rosemary, for example, excellent herb. I absolutely love growing it. I love the way it tastes. I love the way it smells. I will absolutely be growing that in my garden this year. Rosemary you need to purchase every year. It's an annual around here. It won't last through the winter. Spearmint is part of the mint family, and when you grow anything in the mint family, you have to know that it is incredibly invasive. I actually put it in a plastic pot, dig a hole deep enough in the ground to fit the whole pot in, and then backfill that. That way it keeps the roots kind of contained and they can't spread out everywhere. Otherwise, mint, any kind of mint, will just grow out of control in your garden. We've also got dill. So I have the Mammoth Long Island dill that I'm going to be growing again this year. I love growing dill. I love the taste of it. I love the smell of it. Dill is also really good for beneficial caterpillars like the swallowtail butterfly caterpillar and the monarch butterfly caterpillar. They love dill. As you can see from this video here, we had a couple visitors on our dill this year. If you are a responsible human being, you can bring the caterpillars inside to try to save them from the birds. Or you have little kids, this is a great thing for them to do as well. But before you do this, please do the proper research. Take care of them in your house and then release them when they become butterflies. And it's also a good thing to grow in succession. If you want to have a regular harvest of dill, you should really try to plant it every 2 weeks or so you have a really steady harvest. Lemon balm is a perennial. I do have that growing in the garden this year. I started it last year. It grew to be a pretty decent size. I even split it up into 2 separate patches. So I will be growing lemon balm again this year. It has that really great lemony scented flavor, almost like a bowl of Fruit Loops, honestly, is what it reminds me of. And then I will be growing lemongrass. Lemongrass is great for stir fries, and we'll be growing that in the garden as well. Again, that also has that lemony scent to it. Just one of those flavors I absolutely just love in the garden. Okay, on to the next one, black sesame. Black sesame, I didn't get a chance to grow this last year. I did try to grow it, but it got taken up in part of the whole greenhouse debacle. So this did not grow successfully last year. I'm not going to claim to know how to grow this. I'm going to grow this along with you and we can learn together. I'm going to do some more research before I go ahead and plant this with you so I have a better idea of how to be a guide for you to show you how to plant these, but we will learn how to plant these together. I'm super excited. So you guys still with me? That's all the flowers and herbs. Now it is time for the big announcement and the winner. I hope you guys are super psyched for this because I know I am. So let's start with the winner. The winner of this contest, wait, hold on. I just want to throw this out there first. I just want you guys to know that I am not trying to do this to be cheesy or to be gimmicky or anything like that. It's really just a way for us to say thank you and to encourage you to keep watching. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys had fun with it. Now, the winner of the $25 gift card is, drum roll. Truth is, No one guessed correctly. Note to self for future videos, give better hints. No big deal. I did still pick a winner. We do still have a winner of the $25 Amazon gift card, and that is Blue Miller. Awesome. Yes. Okay. Anyway, so Blue won the $25 Amazon gift card because she guessed multiple times in the comments. She was one of the only people to guess more than once. I think she guessed 3 different times. All really good guesses. Everyone had really good guesses. Thank you all so much for playing along and participating. But Blue actually even made the tomato soup from the tomato soup recipe video that came out on Christmas this year. Christmas last year. She is super active in the Facebook group. She's invited friends to the Facebook group. She's always texting me and talking about gardening, and I love it. Blue, for all of your encouragement and help along the way, for all of your questions, for all of your support, and for trying multiple times to get the correct answer, you win that $25 gift card, and I will send it to you in an email. I have your email address, so I will send that to you in an email. Thanks, love. So the big news, since no one guessed it, I will just announce it. I have signed up for the New Jersey Master Gardeners program. So I am officially going to become this year a New Jersey Master Gardener. I am super psyched about this. I have so much more information to share with you. Let's go back to the video. Sorry for the change of scenery and wardrobe. It's the day that I'm uploading the video and I'm picking a winner. So yes, I am going to be becoming a Master Gardener. I have officially sent in my registration form and the registration fee. And starting in February, I will be taking a class online weekly to become a Master Gardener. It's so exciting. What's really cool about this is what I will be learning in the Master Gardener course, I'm going to be bringing back here and teaching to all of you. I'm so excited to do this because with the Master Gardener course, they encourage you to go out and teach other people how to garden and to help other people with their garden. That's something that they encourage and they push, and I love that. I'm not going to be able to give you a Master Gardener certificate or that title. I can't do that. I'm not in charge of giving you your volunteer hours that you need to do or anything like that. But just know that after I have these classes and as I'm going through these classes, I'm also going to share that information with you. I'm super excited for it and I hope you are too. So there is the big news. Thank you so much for being here. As you can see, we have a lot of things growing in the garden this year. I am super excited. I hope that you'll follow along with us. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, be kind to yourselves. Be kind to each other. Be fearless in life and be fearless in your garden. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and thanks for being here. I'll see you next time. Bye.